Carolina on the ride. Carolina on the ride.
Welcome, Panther Nation. Bill Mack here with another edition of the Panther Prowl. Of course, this is what I call a late edition. Sorry it's late getting this video out to you, Panther Nation. I was at work, and sometimes I'm able to try to get a video together in one, and sometimes it comes out a little bit late. But needless to say, our Panthers are 4-0 on the last 4 games. We have actually come up. Yes, we are 8-3 after coming and going up to the Meadowlands in New Jersey and defeating the New York Jets. Wasn't the kind of game I was hoping for, but Panther Nation, sometimes a win is a win. Now, sure, I wasn't hoping to kind of repeat what we had when we went to the into our bye week with the win against the Miami Dolphins, where we almost cranked up 300 yards rushing. I just was kind of hoping they would come out and not fall flat off of a bye week, because this is the last bye week of the season. A lot going on, but like I said, thanks for clicking on this video here as we Panther fans pull together here, and so glad to see the Panthers get another victory. So let's just get right into the good old stats and meat here of what happened in this game. The Panthers, of course, are 8-3. They are 5-1 away, which means if we have to go on the road to play in the playoffs, it's not going to be that hard for us to do because we did really well away. We defeated the Jets, of course, 35-27. The Jets fall to 4-7. They are 3-3 at home. They're pretty much even at home. Cam Newton, of course, led the Panthers' offense in passing, 11 for 28. He only had 168 yards. He was sacked 3 times with a very, very poor 21.6 QBR rating, which is something they look important at, and Cam just wasn't quite Cam today. Of course, we had quite a bit of rushing here. C-Mac, of course, led the way, 7 carries, 62 yards. Cam, of course, 9 carries, 28 yards. He had a touchdown. And J. Stu, of course, put his chip in, 15 carries, 26 yards, 1 TD. And you're like, Bill, they're not the rushing. Where's that boost of it at? Well, like I said, it's one thing about the Panthers. It's like being on a roller coaster at times. You can be up really high with one stat one week and will go down low the next week. So, of course, we know that's hard to replicate that. Of course, they had 2 back-to-back 200-yard plus games. So, for them to have, a couple rushing touchdowns was pretty good. And, of course, Funchess becoming the number 1 that we Panther Nation know he could do it. We could see that Cam was so caught up on Benjamin that Funchess was left over there. But we see the talent of Funchess. Funchess had 7 catches today, went over 108 yards. So congrats to Funchess with getting another 100 receiving yard game. Defense, of course, led the way. Luke Kuechly, of course, having a 34-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Of course, they hit McCown. McCown lost the ball. Luke scoops it up, scampers 34 yards, and scores the touchdown. Mr. 59, Luke, scores it. Of course, Luke and Thomas Davis, the ageless wonder, the mayor of Charlotte, as he is known, each had 9 tackles, 4 solo each. We had Wes Horton, Julius Peppers, and Super Mario Addison. All 3 of those guys did have a sack. So our Panthers did get sacks in this game. Also, Gano was 3 for 3 with field goals. He did, however, miss the extra point, which the Panthers had to continuously try to get 2-point conversions. Trust me, whenever you say kicker's not that important, believe me, knowing my teams, they really are, especially my college team. And, of course, Kalen Clay. We had a Kalen Clay sighting, which we did say he would have to try to do something in this game. He did have a 60-yard return punt for a touchdown. He spun off the defender, and it was off to the races he went. Nobody was going to catch Mr. Kalen Clay. So I was glad to see that. And I think they said the last time they had a fumble return for a touchdown and a punt return was back against Cincinnati in 2002. So all over 15 years ago is when the last time that was. But hey, needless to say, now's a good time as any. Hey, with anything happens like that with our defense, which we've been playing, now is the time for any of it. So great to see them get some points, and great to see that defense, of course, going on with it. However, we let's check on the other side of the ball here. We had Josh McCown, of course, the quarterback of the New York Jets. He was 19 of 36, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But he, like I said, their defense had 3 sacks against Cam. So while we had each defense got 3 sacks that they traded back. Bilal Powell, of course, was the leading rusher for the New York Jets. He was 9 carries, 34 yards. Not very much, but of course, like I said, Panthers had rushing. The Jets had, of course, passing. Anderson, of course, was big for them. He had 6 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course, Jermaine Kearse had 7 catches, 105 yards, and he contributed a touchdown as well. And of course, on defense, we had Davis 10 tackles, 7 solo, 1 sack. We had Darren Lee 6 tackles, 4 solo, and 1 sack, and of course, Steve McClendon. He had 1 tackle, 1 sack, and 1 solo tackle. So defense was defense. That's what's key to us. That's what we've been thriving on. That's what we do, Panther Nation. And like I said, we do have an injury report. In the third quarter, Greg Olsen went out, which he wasn't looking like. He was in for a few plays, caught a couple of catches. He of course went out with another apparent. I don't know if it was a foot or a leg injury, but he went out. He didn't come back out in the third quarter. So, needless to say, let's see. I don't know if he re-aggravated that injury that he was out since week 2 with, but we're still holding our breath there to see what happens, and maybe we'll find out later in the week or possibly tomorrow on what the extent of the injury is after this video comes up. And of course, like I said, our team stats are as this. We had the Jets. They were leading in total yards. They had 391. We had 299. They also, like I said, led in passing. They ended up with 282 yards to 154. Of course, the Panthers up 145 rushing to 109. Carolina, and we talked about it in the video, the review video, preview video, like trying to get penalties, but it was actually the Panthers who had more penalties, and especially with the time they were right up on the goal line, ended up getting penalty right there, and that's their luck. Sometimes they tend to get right on that goal line, get within that 5-yard line, and the first thing they do, get us a penalty, a holding, or offsides, and then it just throws them off because then they don't know what to do when that happens. So, like I said, Panthers had 145 yards rushing. The penalties, they had 10 penalties. They were called for 10 penalties, 84 yards, and the Jets for 7 penalties for 68 yards. So you see, they weren't as penalized as the Panthers were in this game. Of course, Carolina did, like I said, had 2 defensive / special teams touchdowns with Clay and with Luke Kuechly. So proud of that. And the Panthers led the time possession game narrowly, 31 minutes, 50 seconds compared to 28 minutes and 10 seconds. And that's how I've got it rounded up with this. Like I said, I didn't do a keys to victory, but I just wanted to give you just some insight here, in my opinion. I felt like Cam was really rusty. There were some passes that he overthrew. Both Dixon, there was a couple passes to McCaffrey that were clear first down catches that he could have done something with or got some chunk yardage out of it. I don't know. Some people thought maybe it was a thumb injury that he appeared sometime last week on the injury report for his thumb. Did his thumb have something to do with it? Remains to be seen. But seeing that Worley and Bradbury kind of got turned around in a few places. Anderson caught one pass where he was just literally, McCown was telling him just to run, and he had to catch up. There was a lot of slip-ups, a lot of busted coverage, not a whole lot. Like I said, he gave up 307 yards total passing. That was before the sacks and stuff. But still, needless to say, they gave up quite a few chunk plays. They looked kind of like out in the schoolyard getting schooled by him. But, we do what to do. Like I said, Kuechly was still a beast. he was making tackles. He was going from he'd run from sideline to sideline. Remember, he stuffed to run and to get that fumble and get that touchdown off of it. That's Keekly Force. And that's what I was really glad to see. Luke being Luke again. And Thomas Davis, of course, he went out for a while. He was talking about his foot or something. I think it was his hamstring, I believe. And he was on the bench for a while, so I'm hoping it's nothing major with him. Of course, Ryan Khalil wasn't back. I thought the thing said he was, but I guess he's got another practice before, or another week off before he can come back. Olsen going out was a big blow to us. Like I said, Cam, did decent. C-Mac was in the right places. Sure, his stat lines ain't going to be nothing to bust out in you, but you have to watch the game to see what impact the dude creates in the game plan for the Panthers, and havoc it reaches on the defense because they really don't know what to do with him. So great for him. Jay Stu, of course, holding on to the ball, which thank God he's doing that, and he's not giving up a whole lot of fumbles. Didn't fumble any this game that I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But he did get a touchdown. So glad to see that. It was good. One funny thing was I did see him when they did a goal line, the play when they had the goal line, and they were like 2 yards off, and Jay Stu just jumped. He wasn't jumping over the touchdown, what do you call it? The end zone, but he jumped like 2 feet before and landed just short when he went to jump over the pile, which I thought was funny because I typically see him dive further over or across, but he dived short. He was shorter than this. But I was glad to see. I'm glad to see Funches step up, make some catches, some much needed catches. There were some penalties that really helped the Panthers, and it also helped New York out. So this wasn't your kind of game you were expecting to see. After what happened last week, but Panthers do play like this from time to time. Where they have these kind of games, they'll have a good statistical game, and then it's like this game here where the defense was really helping them. And I've said that in my preview video, and I've said that other ones is that defense is what's been bringing it on and keeping the Panthers real tight. So glad to see that happen, Panther Nation. Now, as update, the New Orleans Saints lost tonight. Yes, they lost to the LA Rams. Glad to see that. That puts us tied now with next week is going to be an all-important division matchup because we go to New Orleans. New Orleans come early on in the year when we were playing terrible, beat us at home when they were one of the worst defenses, which we know up until then they had an 8-game winning streak leading on. And the Panthers, like I said, now they're at their 4-game winning streak. So now is a good time for the Panthers to try to go ahead, continue momentum, go into New Orleans and pick up a win there. We need to get that division and wrap the division up. Like I said, we're kind of neck and neck with New Orleans right now as we're both, 8-3. So I'm glad to see the Panthers get that win. We needed that win, and now we go into the division and play another divisional game against the New Orleans Saints, which I'm looking forward to and looking for our Panthers to put on a good show. So, like I said, folks, Panther Nation, I'm so glad you joined for this video. Sorry it's coming out late, which that typically does when I work. But if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you do subscribe to my channel, share it to other Panther fans, and hopefully I can get more subscriptions. I love my subscribers and those that follow along and those that like my video. And if you have any comments, feel free to drop them in there. Until the next video, which will hopefully come out sometime midweek, talking about the New Orleans Saints game. So until next time, Panther Nation, this is Bill Mack saying, keep it pounding, keep pounding.